Hello and welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. Welcome. You are most welcome on this creative journey here in the Northwoods of Maine. On this episode, I am looking forward to sharing with you some bookbinding adventures. There will be a knitting update and discussion around the Wiola Designs Knit Along. If you are a patron of this podcast or have donated through Ko-fi, a deep heartfelt thank you. I so appreciate the financial support that helps with production and the administration costs of this project. I'm so glad that you're all here. Let's catch up.
Where's the line between dreaming and feeling blue? It's 4 o'clock in the evening. I haven't left my room, but the truth is, if I'm honest, I feel stuck here in the middle. Am I one of those crazy people? Should I stay here or should I let go? Pull the sheets over my head, hoping change is gonna find me. You don't have to remind me I'm doing nothing at all. I'm ruminating on a blank wall, but I feel stuck here in the middle. Am I one of those crazy people? Should I stay here or should I let go?
Hello and welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025 at Fiber Trek. I hope that the year is dawning bright with possibility for you, and there are many things to look forward to, whether that's connecting with family and friends, projects that are forthcoming, maybe a bit of travel. All the same, I hope that this finds you in good spirits. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome if you are a new viewer or returning. I realize that I have been doing this for quite a long time. The format has changed over the past, it's more than 10 years. Is it 15 now? And I have really enjoyed the creative challenge that goes into this type of documentation. And on that note, I want to thank all of you who contribute financially, whether that's through Patreon or through Ko-fi. It is really encouraging and humbling to receive that type of financial support. It is also really important for me to say thank you publicly every time to all of you who come here, invest your time, comment, invest your money. I deeply appreciate that. And as I said, it is really important to acknowledge that and ensure that this is a two-way exchange and people are feeling that there is value here in their own creative life. So thank you. Well, on that note, kind of tumbling back to the idea that I've been doing this a long time, I've kind of bumped into the concept of redundancy and kind of repeating over and over, and whether that's through the knitting, etc. I have been thinking about that a lot in how I want to frame this project, for lack of a better word, this vlog, because I feel really content with what I'm working on and the skills that I have, and I feel like, is there an interest in continuing to revisit the same thing? Quilting, bookbinding, embroidery. I'm not feeling like I'm in an expansive place. I feel like I'm in a refining kind of framework where I have these skills and now I really want to kind of, use them and dive deeper into them. And as I've been thinking about this on my long walks with my dog, I've just decided to maybe deepen the experience of bookbinding and combining that, which is always combining that with something else. Let me finish a thought, which has always kind of been the intent. I originally started out on this journey because I was working with my gel plate, and then I wanted to work with encaustic, but I couldn't use acrylic under the encaustic, so I moved to cyanotypes, and then I moved to watercolor, and then that kind of it just became this really for me, amazing art journey into skills that I had never tried. And I've kind of, built a vast array of materials and resources and tools and skills. And I feel kind of like I want to rest in them instead of kind of finding more and how can I do this? And I was bumping into that and kind of like, well, what is that going to mean for the vlog? I mean, if you want to see bookbinding every, 2 weeks or anyway, all that to say, when I thought about that more, and was thinking about projects I wanted to do, I have tons of projects I want to do, as you know. And so, as a way to deepen that experience, it's not just she's binding another book, it's kind of pulling in other mediums. Like I'd love to try doing some embroidery. I'd love to try creating, more of my embroidery bags with different materials. Can I paint on the fabric? So anyway, I don't know where that kind of tangent came from, but that's just something I've been thinking about with this vlog is it becoming redundant? I've done, I think everything that I kind of have planned for projects are things that I've kind of done before. And yeah, so anyway, that's just a thought, which leads me to what I'm working on. I did work on a quilt last weekend and I finished it and I didn't take any footage. And I think I was kind of stuck in that thought, which is, well, it's just me sewing a quilt. I did finish the Bridges version of the Mia Charo floral pets for my niece. And I kind of wanted to shake out of that this weekend, knowing that I did want to put together a vlog. I did want to share what I've been working on, and I wanted to make it creative and I wanted to make it engaging. And so anyway, I decided to work on a book, and I have a couple books that I really want to bind. I have some ideas around, as I mentioned, doing some embroidery. I still would like to work with rebinding the Lord of the Rings series that I have, so I'd like to kind of delve into that a little bit. And you saw me making some book cloth. I am using a tutorial from Chanel Lee, who wrote Handmade Books at Home. I featured this book, I think this summer, when I was working on doing some bookbinding. And I just like the idea of books because it can pull together so many different materials and use up scraps. It's resourceful and it can pull together lots of different skills, as I said. So you could use embroidery, you could create your own cloth and decorate that, as I've done in the past with cyanotypes or Japanese flower pounding or painting or what have you, block printing. So I like the idea that you can take something like I had used the heat press and I was using some of the prints that I did for the end papers. So you can do all these different things and there's something to do with it. So books kind of provide that for me. So here's the two pieces of book cloth I used. I have Japanese washi paper on the back, and I just used Steam-A-Seam double-sided sticky paper or sticky Steam-A-Seam to create that. And I am using paper that Chanel recommends from her book, and I am just doing a basic case binding. The nice thing about the book binding, and I've probably said this before, is I find that it's super easy to set up at home with what you have, because it just basically is cardboard and paper and thread and glue. So you don't need a ton of investment in tools or resources to kind of create something really cool and practical. But again, this book is really helpful in kind of putting together all of the pieces that you might need if you want to kind of level up your game. I am using just bookboard, which is kind of a thick cardboard. And again, like I said, I'm using paper that she recommended, but you can buy lots of beautiful end papers. You can, you know, buy a guillotine, you can buy a corner shaper, all of those things. She talks about all the different levels of entry points. So the only thing I haven't done, and the only kind of bigger investment I think if I continue this that I might make, is getting a guillotine so I can cut the end of my signature block right here. She recommends and highlights in video tutorials using a metal ruler and a utility knife, but I found that to be really hard on my body, hard on my hands, and I did not get the result that I wanted. So for me, it wasn't worth kind of putting myself through that. And so the guillotine is very attractive. However, on this particular book that I'm binding in the video, I did not bother to even out the ends of my signature block. I just left it. And yeah, like I said, I like that she provides an avenue to make your own end bands, your own book cloth, that you can make your own templates, etc. So highly recommend if you're interested, as I did before, interested in doing some bookbinding. Now this is a case binding, so I'm gonna, it will feel similar to a hardbound or hard copy, hard cover book, but she has different book styles in there, from pamphlets to stab bindings, etc. So as I said, I think I featured that this past summer. If I can figure out which one it is, I will put the link below, and you can see me thumb through this particular book. She's also on YouTube under Bitter Melon Bindery. So that's kind of the plan with what I'm working on and what I kind of foresee January being. I had mentioned the quilts. I have enjoyed these panel quilts. They come together very quickly, and I have I think I have 2 other panel quilts to do, and I have a friend who's building a house, and I thought that would be perfect and come together quickly for her. And then I have a couple shibori panels that I purchased. I can't remember the name of the designer, to do some quilts that are featured for this fabric, and the patterns were free. So I think I might try to pull those together kind of quickly and get them out the door. I am moving through my fabric stash quickly, and I'm quite happy about that. And then perhaps I will move on to something more intricately pieced. I still have Japanese taupe quilt that I'm working on. I have 3 blocks done of 9 from Yoko Sahito's book, and those are just some thoughts of things that I can get done when I'm home here. Now, often in the winter, it's a hit or miss with storms, and if I can commute up north between my job and my home. So I'm never really sure, am I going to be there or am I not going to be there? So we'll see. But as of right now, I've been able to get home. It hasn't been an exceptionally snowy winter. We did get 3 inches last night. So I'm looking forward to getting out and romping with Ruby. That is my dog. And I am going to highlight a finished sweater for you for the upcoming segment, and give you a chance to see that in the wild. That is the Gjof by Vedis Jonsdatter. And some of you have asked about resources that I talk about in the videos. In the link below, if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the box. If you are watching at Fibertrek, I list it right below. Fibertrek.wordpress.com lists the resources that I've highlighted, including the sweater and the yarn that I've used. So you can click on that link, or you can visit fibertrek.wordpress.com to see those items. Right, so next segment, we're talking about a finished sweater, hooray, and what's to come. See you soon.
Close your eyes, get some rest. side. Lay your head on my chest. I know you've had a really bad day, but I'm right here, it's gonna be okay. The world could fall down, it's gonna be okay. The sun could go out, we're gonna be okay. If all the blue skies fade to gray, we're gonna be okay.
I am excited to have finished the Gjof by Veddis Jonsdottir in the Icetex Let Lopi, or Icetex Let Lopi. It is a good fit. The only thing I wish that I had done differently is shortened the yoke a bit. I added short rows in the back, which is a typical modification for me, but I wish I had shortened the overall yoke before I divided for the sleeves. But it's going to work out perfect as an outdoor ski garment, as you saw. A lot of what I bring into my wardrobe and what I choose to knit is rugged, and I look for it to withstand multiple different weather elements: rain, snow, sleet, falling down in the snow, skiing, exertion, all of those things play into my choices, which is why I end up picking a lot of yarns that have a heft to them and a resiliency. And that's why I like working with 100% wool and natural fibers. Even if it is a Shetland colorwork, Marie Wallen, I do find that those yarns lend themselves to not only being elegant and sophisticated when they need to be, but I can wear them canoeing, outside, etc. And, you know, when I go to work, when I go out, quote unquote, I don't often pull these sweaters, I don't wear them all day. So things that can be layered over others, that have sleeves that accommodate shirts underneath, are all things that I think about when I'm pulling together my sizing and what I need it to do. So all that to be said, that while I do wish for the fit to be, as I mentioned, maybe a bit elegant, you know, put together and polished versus oversized, I wish I had shortened that division for the sleeves on the Gjof. It's going to work out perfect for what I need it to do. So just note to self. I do think I would knit this one again or use it as a base for other patterns. I'm a big fan of Jen Steingass. I do find her fitting to work very well for the proportionality of my body. This particular piece I finished just a couple weeks ago, the There and Back Again cardigan, which I hacked into a pullover in Peace Fleece. Again, another great outerwear garment I've been utilizing a lot. And yeah, so a lot of great finishes that have lent themselves to the needs of the current season here in Maine. Now, where do I want to go? I am still working on the Metropolitan pullover by Tori Yu, and that is a cropped version that I've done, and I have opted to knit the sleeve as I am working on now, just as a straight tube with no decreases, and then I think I'm going to decrease quite quickly and create just a small bit of a balloon sleeve with an I-cord bind off. Those are my mods. So that can be worn over some dresses on the way to work and kind of fit into my wardrobe that way. I'm not still 100% sure how I feel about the overall effect of holding together the Plotolopi in the glacial blue with the Gotland lace in that kind of deeper tonal sea green, turquoisey, peacocky color. But I continue to work on it and it has me intrigued. So we'll finish it and we'll see if I wear it, and if not, I will find a new home. I do love working with the Plotolopi, so that has its own attraction for me. So yeah, so I see that kind of as a quick finish that I'm knitting on a US 10. and it's going quite quickly, as I mentioned. So Gjof is done. Still working on the Metropolitan. I still have the Yell by Marie Wallin lingering there. I need to get back to that. I picked it up today and I was hankering for it. But I did talk about with all of you I did talk about here, and some of you were interested in kind of coming together as a group and working on Wiola designs, any pattern of your choice. Now I've decided to knit the Agnes Kofta Dark as inspired by Corinne of the Woolly Thistle. You can find her colors and her kit over at the Woolly Thistle. They've put together a kit in Rauma Phenol for that. And I purchased my Rauma Phenol at the Woolly Thistle as well, but I did do some substitutions, and I want to talk a little bit about that as I kind of launch into this project. But as for coming together to knit and think about these designs, I have decided to do this is amazing, over on Ravelry in the Fiber Trek group. Now, I haven't touched that group in probably 7 years, but for me, it feels like the easiest way to coalesce around discussion, posting photos, and what I really thought would be interesting, or what I'm interested in hearing from you, is your color stories, your yarn choices, any mods, and then troubleshooting. Because as I talk about my experience with the Agnes Kofta Dark pattern and what I plan to do, I do think it would be helpful for people to chat a little bit about overall color work, how they're managing their gauge, and of course what yarns you're planning to work with. So I will create a thread in the Fiber Trek group, and as of right now, I don't plan, or have not thought about prizes. I find that to be really hard for me, mostly because it's hard for me to get to the post office. So right now, I just would love to know what you're knitting, what colors you're thinking about, and what yarns you're thinking about. And again, that will be over on the Fiber Trek group on Ravelry. You are welcome to reach out at fibertrek@gmail.com if you want to just send along your thoughts, your pictures, what you're doing, etc. If you're not going to be on Ravelry, but that's the gathering point to see what other people are doing in a very easy way. So what am I doing? Well, if you are a patron, you would have seen the colors that I picked. I had to do some substitutions because what she uses, the designer, in the pattern wasn't available to me. She mix and matches. She uses some Rauma and some Rauma Phenol, and she uses some alpaca blends. But I decided to do everything, well, except for one, in Rauma. My main colors are a kind of heathered brown, which is 464, and that is recommended for the dark in the pattern. And I am using as color 1 4078, which is the other recommendation. From there, I went ahead and I purchased the recommendations that were in the pattern that I thought worked for my color palette. And as I build out the yoke patterning, I'll talk about what colors I'm using where. So my first foray is I'm using the main color, which is 464, and I've decided to not knit this as a kofta, as a cardigan. I'm gonna knit it as a pullover. And so because of that, I need to think about the amount of ease that the button bands would allow for. I did cast on. I know I didn't wait. Well, I kind of did. I waited until January, but I didn't wait till this went live. I cast on, and I've knitted the first color work section. And already, as I've kind of have my own preferences for necklines and ease about my neck, I've opted to, or I did opt to cast on for the beginning of the yoke. I did not cast on the number of stitches for a smaller neckline and do ribbing. I cast on for the yoke start, and I did a small amount of moss stitch, and then I went and did a bit of short row shaping for the neck, and then I went right into the yoke, all with the same same stitch count. I knitted it on US 5s, and I thought I was getting gauge, but then when I counted it in light with my glasses on, I realized that I was not getting anywhere close to the gauge that she had. And for the size that I had cast on for, which was the second to the last size, I was going to have a sweater that was way too big. So that's fine for me. I've ripped it out. I also really wasn't 100% excited about knitting the fabric I was getting on the 5. I had assumed that as I am a tight knitter, I tend to have to go up on every pattern, and I just went ahead and did that. But I think in the experience of the density of this fabric, I'm getting 5 stitches to the inch instead of 6 1/4. I'm going to go down to the US 4. I'm going to then recalculate my gauge for the size that I would like, which I think is going to end up being the 3rd size, because I'm getting a 6 stitches versus 6 1/4. All that to say, I have created some mods. I will not be following along exactly in the pattern as she highlights it, and I will probably be using some Marie Wallin references because I've re-engineered the lovage and the bresette to be knit top down, and how I manage that. So forthcoming, I will post a little bit about that in the Ravelry group. So I have ripped it out. You can see my short rows here. I kind of made that up as well, because that is knit flat, and then you join in the round and add your steek stitches. So I'm kind of working off the cuff, off the neck, if you will. So Rauma mods forthcoming on the Ravelry group. I will also keep track of my colors there for you. I took a look and at the Woolly Thistle, but I was also thinking about other yarns that might be used for her designs, since she does knit quite a bit in Rauma. For this particular one, I was thinking about the Fjalalopi, which is the new sport weight from Icetex yarns in the Icelandic. That might be able to be used as a substitute. I pulled in some Jamieson's and Smith that in a color that I couldn't quite match in the Rauma, so that seems to be a complementary yarn. I was thinking about the Wool Dreamers, I think it's Captiva, which is a Spanish merino wool yarn. May not have the breadth of color choices, but a lot of the accessories or patterns that are in her designed, her digital book might lend themselves to that if you're looking for a wool that is a little bit more spongy and kind of sits on the skin perhaps a bit better. The Rauma isn't, I would say the Rauma has presence, and it is got structure, it has a high twist to it, and you know, it doesn't, and this is piece fleece, I'm wearing this next to skin, and I don't foresee this being problematic. It doesn't have the same loft as Jamieson's and Smith or Jamieson's does, that kind of, the air that's in that kind of lightness. This has a little bit more density to me, and it sits with a bit more structure in the knitting. So anyway, I also thought about Hillesvåg. I think Ask is their sport weight. I don't have easy access to Hillesvåg. I have quite a bit of Tinta and Solia in my stash, but I thought those might be really beautiful and work really well for some of her patterns as well. So those are just a few kind of interesting wools that, you know, might want to be explored or pulled in. So Wiola Designs, there are not only sweaters, as I said, there's mittens, there's cowls, there's hats. So her pattern is available as a digital download, as a book, and they've been translated into English, but you can also access her patterns in Norwegian, and I believe everything is charted. So if you're very comfortable using charts and Google Translate, I think that it's an accessible avenue for you to expand into her other designs. So that is the Wiola designs. Maybe I'll see you over there on Ravelry. I know that Nicole is thinking of knitting the Dagmar and has received the yarn for that. And perhaps there's some other people who have knit the Agnes light kofta that are hankering for some more that might join along. So those are my plans for the Agnes kofta. I think I covered it. Pullover, moss stitch, different neckline, and the colors, and I will keep you up to date. So that is kind of it for the knitting. I have, as usual, projects on the go. I have a couple finished, and I did have quite a bit of the Let Lopi left over, so perhaps I will pull together some mittens. Ronya Hakalito has a really nice mitten pattern. That name escapes me. I knit last year, which is perfect for the Istex Let Lopi, so those go very quickly and might be great for a friend for the new year. I think that's it. Did I cover everything that I was thinking about? I think I did. I will look forward to casting on the Agnes again with you all if you're joining along and keeping you up to date. In the meantime, many fond wishes and blessings. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.